No wins in 5, 3 losses in a row. Today, we're going to have to talk a little bit about Graham Potter, though. We need to probably move away from talking about the players, which we will anyway. We do that after a game. But I think we need to focus a little bit about Graham Potter as well.
All right. Here we go, back again on the other side of the coin.
All right, welcome back to the other side of the coin, ladies and gentlemen. You're here for the match review of Newcastle 1, Chelsea 0. Result was probably expected. XL, expected loss. This is something that I talked about in my preview and I've been talking about over the last few videos. A new phenomenon created by the Chelsea fan base. We've been pushed to create this because all we seem to be doing in recent times in the Premier League is lose. 3 losses in a row. 3 losses in a row. Brighton, Arsenal, Newcastle. And on all of those matches, it hasn't looked like ever that we were going to score. On this particular match, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about Graham Potter. First of all, I want to put the caveat that being Graham Potter out is ridiculous. It's not. I mean, look, do you know what? It's no. Let me rephrase that. It's probably not ridiculous. I can respect if you are feeling that way, but what the reason why I feel it's ridiculous is he's not going anywhere. He's not going to go anywhere. So being Graham Potter out from that perspective doesn't make sense because it's a particular outcome which will not happen. It will not happen. He's only been here for a very short time. It's something I don't want to happen either. I need a manager to stick around and find a solution and be given enough time. Obviously, he needs transfer windows. He needs to bring in his players. But that aside, because that is very, that is obvious to think that way because Graham Potter needs all of those components. He needs transfer windows. So it's very obvious to think that way. But with what he has and with what he's doing so far, that's where we can be critical. That particular lineup against Newcastle, I don't think he was setting us up to at least give a chance to win. He was setting us up to have a hopeful draw, not even like a strong draw that, we're going to shut up shop. Look at that lineup. Mendy, we've got Azpi, we've got Silva, Koulibaly. I think we had Lewis Hall, Ruben Loftus-Cheek, Kovacic, Jorginho in the middle, and then we've had Mason Mount, Gallagher, and Broja. That lineup, and obviously Ruben Loftus-Cheek was injured earlier on, and Azpilicueta moved into the right wing back position, and Thiago Silva came on. But that lineup, who's creating for us in that lineup? Who's going to be the one who's going to be able to rip through Newcastle and create something for us? Or who's going to be able to, give us some sort of a belief, give us some sort of an imagination? That lineup looked very, very dull. It looked full of road runners, as everyone was saying. Mason Mount was just running like a headless chicken again. Conor Gallagher was running around. Lewis Hall, for me, in the first half was probably the standout player. But then in the second half, as I said, I don't want to, I've said it in my previous videos, I don't want to bash this kid. But in the second half, he kind of got taken apart by Miguel Almiron. But he wasn't even the worst player in the second half. I think overall, Koulibaly, there is some major doubts about Koulibaly. Major doubts. But we'll talk about the players. Going back to Graham Potter. What sort of a message that you're sending out to the fan base, to the team? I don't understand why we didn't use with a little bit more flair. Like, why didn't he go with Christian Pulisic from the get-go? Why didn't you just have a little bit of X factor with Hakim Ziyech? Aubameyang wasn't even used. What's the point of having someone like Aubameyang when you're not even going to be using him? And then his subs, they're coming after we were down 1-0. What happened being proactive and being on the front foot and trying to take the game? And tactically as well, like the entire first half, all we did was defend. I think today the XG was 0.36. Against Arsenal, it was 0.26. So it was an improvement to a certain degree. But that first half, we defended our lives. I know Newcastle didn't create heaps, but they kept us in our half, and we were looking to counter. We're not good enough for counters. What was the strategy? What was the strategy? I'm just looking at the stats here. Let me have a look at the stats. Let me just refresh this. I won't share it on the screen. I'm just going to try and read this off. The stats: Newcastle 49.1% possession. To be honest, they had a lot more possession in the first half and second half. Obviously, after they went 1-0 up, they wanted to defend. 3 shots on target as opposed to 2 shots on targets for us. 10 shots overall. Newcastle 5 shots for us. Newcastle had 635 touches. Chelsea had 661. 23 tackles each. 13 clearance from them, 19 clearance from us. 5 corners them, 3 corners us. From a statistical standpoint as well, like, what were we trying to do? What were we trying to do? The only thing I can say about Graham Potter is, I guess just this period that he's taken over. And I get it. He's taken over in extreme situation, right? He's taken over in extreme conditions where the team wasn't playing well anyway. A few people were saying, players don't seem to understand the roles anymore. They don't seem to understand what Potter wants. But not that long ago, when we had the AC Milan 2 victories, Wolves victory, Crystal Palace before that, Aston Villa, a lot of people were saying to me, Miz, it looks like under Graham Potter, people understand the roles. People seem to get what Potter needs to, wants from the team. The players understand what's going on. And now all of a sudden, after no wins in 5, players don't seem to understand the roles. What has happened? I get injuries play a big part, but you've got to still be able to squeeze out wins, man. You've got to be able to still play some brand of football. For me, with Graham Potter in this particular match specifically, not showing enough heart, man. For me, that's a bit of a red flag from a Chelsea manager. Where's the desire to at least go out there and show that you want to win this game? It's almost as if he was okay to get a draw and just leave, let the World Cup start, reassess after the World Cup. And look, maybe that's how we need to think about it. Maybe that's how we need to think about it, that forget this whole before the World Cup, this phase of play even happened, completely strike it off from our mind, forget total recall, erase it from our memory. Hope the World Cup doesn't see any more injuries to any of the key Chelsea players. And after the World Cup, in the January, we need players. We need players. Minimum 3. Right-sided player, backup for Reece James, midfielder, and an attacker. Minimum, bare minimum. Because this team, that's ridiculous, man. That's ridiculous. I know the record hasn't been good at St. James's Park, but regardless of that, we've got to show some sort of a fighting quality. The only fighting quality I saw was right at the end of the match when players were fighting. That was probably good because it looked like we cared. But in the match, we did not care. My highlight for me for the entire game was Mendy. Was Mendy right at the end, when he went up to try and score the equalizer, and then the way he was running back, his legs couldn't keep up with his body. Graham Potter needs to look at this and look at himself as well, I suppose, and utilize this break that's coming up for the World Cup as much as he can. Let's talk a little bit about the team now. First up, I really want to talk about Koulibaly. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm starting to feel a bit worried about Koulibaly. He's a player that I wanted. He's the defender that I wanted for Chelsea, but he's looking very suspicious, man. Miguel Almiron did him many times in that match. Suspicious behavior from Koulibaly, man. Mason Mount, once again, what did he do this entire match? What did he do? Nothing. Once again, nothing. He's looking for a long-term contract, bumper wages. I don't know, man. I don't know. I think I would wait. I need to put more world-class players in and around him, because I still maintain Mason Mount, if we had several world-class players like we used to back in the days, like we should now. Mason Mount, for me, probably in the form that he is for good parts of more than 12 months now, he would probably be a bench player, coming off the bench, rotational player. That's what he would be. But this team lacks any attacking quality, any excellent world-class players, any sort of attacking imagination. This is why he keeps starting, because there is no other player better than him at the moment. And he trains well. He trains hard. He trains better than all of those players that we have right now. So he impresses the manager. The manager is obliged to start him. But this is why we need to fill the team with many, many more quality players, man. Give these players like Mason Mount something to think about. Conor Gallagher as well. All he did was run around. But you know what? I don't even blame. I can't blame. This is why I want to put a lot of the blame on Graham Potter today. I can't just sit here and just blame the players, because that lineup was horrendous, man. That lineup, Mason Mount and Gallagher together, for me, that's a bit of too much. That's the same. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's the same player when we need something different. That's what I always maintain. You either take a Gallagher or a Mount. You don't take both. It's the same thing times 2. You need different variation. That's why, for me, the fact that Christian Pulisic didn't start to give us something different was strange. Sterling was apparently ill. Aubameyang didn't start, didn't feature. I don't know where we are with Aubameyang. Like, honestly, Oba should have at least... That's the other thing with Graham Potter. Why didn't he throw the kitchen sink at 1-0? Leave Armando Broja there, and maybe even bring on Aubameyang. Let Broja link up with, Aubameyang. Both the strikers work in tandem. Kai Havertz comes on, doesn't really give us much like all the other times. Ziyech came on, probably didn't give us much as well. But the substitutions were late as well, man. It was after they scored. I can see it, 73rd minute. It needed to be done before they scored, man. Before they scored. Ladies and gentlemen, look, it's a depressing feeling, man. It's a depressing feeling. It's, as I've said in recent times in the videos, I feel very, very disconnected, man. I really do. Even when I'm doing the watch-alongs, even when I'm doing the videos on Chelsea, I feel no belief. I feel no sense of excitement. It's a strange time that we're in. 5 matches without a win in the Premier League. Honestly, some people were saying that was back in like 2014-15. 3 matches in a row lost. All we can hope is, as I said, January transfer window. We're now, 8th in the table. We could potentially be 9th or 10th, whatever the case is, if Fulham ends up beating Man United. But it's going to be tough, man. It's going to be so tough. Like, we're not catching Arsenal and Man City. They're way ahead. Newcastle solidifying their position in the top 4. And then it's going to be a battle for the 4th position. Looks like Spurs, again, with a comeback victory today. They're squeezing out victories somehow. Yes, mixed in with some bad results, but they're getting those victories as well. Man United, they're going to be there and thereabouts. Brighton are there and thereabouts. I don't know, man. I don't know.